I gotta make the bed, which means you gotta get off the bed. Thank you.
Guys, I'm gonna get right down to it. It's October, and I think we all know what that means. Oh yeah! It is, an exciting time of year. Oh, you know it. Get ready to have a little bit of fun. Here we go! It's Black History Month. Woo! Wait, what? I thought we celebrated that in February. Yeah, I can't hear that. I thought we celebrated that in February. That's you. That's how you sound. I mean, you're technically not wrong. Black History Month is celebrated in February, but that's in America. In England, it's been celebrated in October since 1986. So if you are American, please pause this for 5 months and then come back. Oh wait, did you do it? Is it February? What's the world like? I mean, you're technically in the future, so do we have flying birds still? Speaking of birds, I know. The lovely folks at Penguin Platform reached out to me again. They said, hey, you want to talk about some books again? And I said, yeah, I love to talk about blah, blah, blah. And then I said, yes, I would love to talk about books again, because that clearly made no sense. And they said, great, we would love to hear about some of your favorite books by Black authors. Black authors. We have a problem. I like books. I like stacking them on top of each other. I like looking at their covers. I like debating the merits of hardback versus paperback. That last one is not true. It's always hardback. What about taking up valuable bag space? Point is, the thing that I don't do enough with books is spend time actually reading them. I simply don't read enough, and I know that nobody thinks that they read enough, but I really don't read enough. Like, I'm a little bit nervous about Twitter doubling the character limit because I don't know if I can make it to 280. Even just reading this sentence is... I'm gonna need a minute. Surprise, surprise, I'm getting off topic. Among the many things that my personal library is lacking, diversity in authors is certainly up there. And as someone who really sees value and merit in diversity, I thought that I would see this as an opportunity to broaden my horizons, so to speak. No, so to read. I don't really know how that phrase works. So I picked up 3 different books by Black authors and started all of them. As someone who is definitely a one book at a time kind of guy, this was a little bit terrifying, but I think I'm gonna be okay. I wanted to give you my first impressions, having taken a little bit from each of them. These are very much first impressions, bear in mind, because I have not finished them yet. Let's start with Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Isn't this pretty? Is real pretty. A young man sits in his lover's room the night of their execution, thinking over the decisions that they've made in their life leading up to this point. Simply put, this is an angry, angsty little book, and that sounds really, like, reductive. It's not meant to be. I like it quite a lot. I started this one a while ago, did not finish it, and I picked it back up again this month, and I'm very glad that I did. There's something about the way Baldwin puts you in the mind of the lead character. He can elicit sympathy from you, and I believe the world that he's trying to create here. Did I mention that this book was written in the 50s? Imagine being black in the 50s, and then imagine writing a book about being gay in the 50s. Simply put, I'm glad that he did. This is a good read. I am enjoying it so far. Moving on to The Bluest by Toni Morrison. I think I've spent the most time with this book so far, and it still doesn't feel like it's been enough. Dividing my time between 3 books is really tricky, and I have no idea how people do it, but here's what I loved about this one. It captures the feeling of being an outsider from a child's perspective. It's about a black family living in 1940s Ohio. So we're just after the Depression, but of course many families are still feeling the effect of it. So there's this big moment in the book where a character gets given a doll, and rather than loving it as she's expected to, she kind of hates it. And not just because it's not what she wanted or she's being spoiled, but because she understands that the people around her view this thing as the ideal self. This little blonde-haired, blue-eyed toy is the image of perfection in their eyes, and she doesn't really agree with this. Her refusal to play with the doll, to look after it, you know, they're not only a rejection of the expectations placed on her gender, but also the limited societal attitudes as to what constitutes beauty. I think there's something powerful in that. Finally, Noughts and Crosses, the graphic novel. Between the other 2 books, I got really sleepy because there were too many words. This one's filled with pictures though, so I thought it would be easier to deal with. I was wrong. Adapted by Ian Edgington, illustrated by John Aggs, and based on the novel by Malory Blackman. The world is tense and quite racially divided, but let's talk about the book for a second. In a world where racial segregation is still very much around, we follow the lives of 2 families. But here's the thing, the kind of roles as you'd expect them to be are flipped. The book mirrors a lot of the attitudes of the early to mid 20th century, but it reverses them. And while the results are, for me, a little bit on the nose at times, I'm really glad that this exists. I'm sure this would have been very impactful to me if I had read it in my early teen years, and it's still doing a pretty good job now. Something that the characters keep saying that's really stuck with me is, I wish you didn't have to grow up. All of the adults know what the world is like, and they just want to keep their children from having to experience it. And yet when asked to challenge or question the system, their response is, oh, this is just the way things are. A contradiction which is striking, and more importantly, extremely relevant. So there we go, 3 books and 3 thoughts, hopefully a few more than 3, actually. I want to top this off by saying that I don't want to homogenize any people or tokenize their race or ethnicity. What I do want to do is recognize that living living your life with traits that society wouldn't consider the norm will probably lead to a different experience of that society, and that when those experiences manifest in your artwork, they will probably project a very different view of the world than someone who has not had them. And they could probably even enrich your life or broaden your view of the world if you're willing to listen to them. Thank you for listening to me. I want to thank Penguin Platform not only for sponsoring this video, but also for encouraging me to diversify my library. Needed a push to read more books. This was a good opportunity. Please tell me some of your favorite Black authors in the comments wherever you can find those, and follow Penguin Platform on Twitter because they'll be doing 31 book recommendations by Black authors. Oh, that's one every day this month. There is a link in the description. I'm Sam, that was some stuff. I will see you next time.